Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage JobTread founder and CEO, Eric Fortenberry. Thank you. What starts here changes the world. As Steve Jobs said, the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. We're on a mission to change the construction industry, and we're doing it with all of you. I hear every day your stories. I hear how JobTread has helped your business. It's helped your team. It's helped your processes. It's saved some of your businesses. I've heard it saved marriages. It helps you spend more time with your families and make more money. It's these stories that drive us. They motivate us. They inspire me and my team to continue to strive to make JobTread the absolute best. I'm excited to share our story and why we're so passionate about what we do. We're not just selling software. We're not just a software company. I built this out of a needs basis. I have been in your shoes. I have felt the pain of trying to build and manage a construction company. We're just so excited to have you here. And to think, all this got started because I got fired. I got ousted from my own company. I put 10 years into building my business. And I learned the hard way what can happen when you sell it to a private equity firm. Can you imagine 10 years, nearly a decade of your life, your blood, sweat, and tears you put into something, to have some guy wearing a tie from New York fly down and fire you? I couldn't believe it. It was one of the hardest things. It was my baby. What was I supposed to do? I'll tell you what I did. I spent a lot of time working on my house. I literally fully automated the home. I replaced all the door locks, the light bulbs, the windows, the doors. You know, I even cut open my gate motor to splice in a bunch of automation so that I could automatically open and close my gate. I built fully a solar-based automated pool refill system because I couldn't find this stupid leak in my pool that I needed the water just automatically refill it. I built drones to look at my roof and my gutters. I built robots to go into the crawl space and take soil moisture readings. Had foundation issues that I just couldn't figure out. Ended up doing a ton of plumbing. Replaced fixtures, toilets, redid bathrooms in our home. Got into electrical. I really liked electrical. Thought I was going to go sit for the electrician's exam, but apparently you have to have 8,000 apprentice hours, so I wasn't able to schedule that one. But I got in, I even cut my water main coming into my house so that I could put in a water meter reader and an automated shutoff valve. So if there was ever a leak, which it actually happened once, it automatically shut off the water to the whole home and announced over my Sonos, "Attention, attention, we have a leak." I think the problem, though, is when I started getting into the main electrical box, put in an energy meter reader there to find out all my my least efficient devices, is when my wife Deja started getting a little bit concerned. Apparently, if you get hit by a 240-volt wire, I might not be able to continue doing her honey-do list. So she started encouraging me to, maybe you need to go find a job. Maybe you need to go find some projects outside of the house. I think the lowest point, though, was when I started drinking with my landscaper in the front yard. And so, again, my wife wants me to, get out of the house. And so started going over to her office. I started learning all about, what she was doing to build her business. She was an incredibly talented landscaper, very professional. Her crews were always professional, well-dressed, had wrapped trucks, just phenomenal at her profession. But it wasn't enough for her to build a successful business. When I got into her office, I found just papers, lack of process, no systems. I thought she wasn't invoicing me because she really appreciated all the time I was spending with her and helping her try to build the business. Turns out she had no idea who was being invoiced or wasn't being invoiced. And so I ended up helping her implement some software. Software that you all have likely used or definitely know. I won't name names right now, but I saw firsthand the impact of implementing systems and processes. I saw how it helped her to get organized. I saw how she was able to better manage her business. Now, I also had a lot of frustrations with this software. Apparently, there was some sort of a flaw that just kept deleting all of our data. So I called the support guy. I said, "Hey, something's going on. We need you to keep restoring this data." I kid you not, he hung up on me. I couldn't believe it. It was the worst support I had ever experienced. So I reached out to the vice president of customer success. I also found the founder and CEO's email. Sent him an email, both of them. Told him I couldn't believe this. I was trying to help implement their software. And I saw the impact so much on this company that I was going to go and try to maybe help other companies implement this. Talked to both of them on the phone. Got on the phone with the CEO of this company. Shared my feedback, shared my excitement for what they were doing, but I had this frustration. I needed them to continue to help us remediate the issue until they could fix it. He said, "Well, we've got tens of thousands of customers. We've heard that feedback. Just deal with it." He told me to deal with it. Well, I'm dealing with it. We are definitely dealing with it. It was along this same time frame that I had a friend of mine. He called me. He was running a construction business. He said, "Hey, man, we're really struggling to manage our jobs and to build this company." So I was like, "All right, let's go in there. Take a look." Deja vu all over again. The chaos, the disarray, papers, binders. It was literally paper was walking in the door every single day. These guys were turning in their timesheets, and they're going into some folder, some binder. I mean, how many of you can relate to that? Every vendor bill, every invoice, everything that was coming in, they just kept printing it off. Everything got printed and put into these folders. Went into little thing hanging on the wall so that whenever the project manager came in, who knows when that would be, they would be able to sit down and review and approve. And then it would get typed into some spreadsheet. And then somebody else would type it and copy it somewhere else. And then it would get manually entered into QuickBooks. I mean, at least they were trying to track their expenses, unlike the first company. But they were just broken processes. And this is at such a larger scale. They were doing $5 million in revenue. They had 10 employees, running 10 to 15 jobs at one time. And they had no idea how they were going to perform on any one job. Originally, my advice is you might as well go to Vegas and roll the dice. This is a total crapshoot. But then I really got into it more, and I realized they also needed some software. They needed something to help them to get organized and to streamline their business. I wasn't very excited about the last software I implemented, so I went back to the drawing board, went and we reviewed everything. I created this massive spreadsheet of every single software there was. And I put all the, the pros, the cons, the features, what I thought it was going to take to implement everything into this big spreadsheet. But at the end of the day, I struggled to make a recommendation for them. I couldn't tell, how this software and how this industry could just not have anything better than what I found. It felt very antiquated, clunky, or super expensive. It looked like I was going to have to hire somebody full-time to implement this. And so I struggled to make a recommendation for the guy. So one day, Cody, the owner, he said, "Eric, you're a developer. Why don't you just build us something?" Hell no, Cody. I'm not trying to take on a full-time job here. You definitely aren't qualified to sit here and maintain the software either. There's no way I'm going to build you something. Come on, man. You can do it. I know you can. You're nuts. No way. So I go home, and I'm thinking about this, and I'm just like, wow, this is such an enormous industry. This is just like my first company. In the education space, they were lagging in technology. It's is this another opportunity to come and try to just make a huge impact on this industry? I talked to my wife, Deja. She's like, "Eric, maybe you should." I think she might just wanted me to, again, stop playing with electrical, but I went back to Cody. I said, "Cody, man, all right, I think you're right. I think there is a huge opportunity here. But I've got 3 conditions. 1, I take over as CEO. Everything that needs to be done, I need the authority and the ability. I need to be able to hire people, fire people, implement processes, procedures, whatever needs to be done to right the ship. I need the full ability to do that. 2, everything I build is my intellectual property. So if this has the potential to become my next software company, I need that option, that ability to go and do that. 3, I will give you 1 year of my time. I will fully commit to this thing. I will show up. I will report into the office every single day. I am all in. You have my undivided attention, and we will make this thing go." "Eric, you're hired. Consider yourself CEO." So off to the races we went. I dug in, and I studied all of the data. They had data just everywhere. I mean, hundreds of spreadsheets all over the place. We had QuickBooks, whatever was in there, we had it. And I went and I looked and I started analyzing all of our historical data. I tried to understand, how has this business struggled so much? I started digging in and just realized, I found out that every fencing job we ever sold, we lost 10 to 12%. Can you imagine? We're paying our customers to do their work. I mean, how many of y'all have ever found that you just totally lost money on a job? I mean, obviously you didn't go into the job thinking that, hey, let's just go give away some money. Let's go do some free work. It turned out we never updated the cost of our materials. We literally were just selling jobs with outdated information. So I realized I needed to go and start at the very beginning of the job process, estimating. I went and I started shadowing the guys, the salesmen, the estimators, trying to understand how are they coming up with their price? How do they come up with this proposal and what we're going to sell to people? Couldn't really find much documentation on anything, and really a lot of the proposals seemed like they were just good old boy handshakes and back of the envelope type deals. Sounds like some of y'all can relate to that. Well, funny enough, what I learned is, yeah, they were just pulling numbers out of thin air. Sometimes a couple of them might have tried to come up with their cost. Maybe they'd just apply a 30% markup to that cost, which hopefully at this point everybody knows 30% markup is only going to get you 23% profit margin. We were trying to make a 30% profit on every job. So those guys are literally just shooting themselves right in the foot, right out of the gate. There's only one guy in the entire company who was using margin to calculate his price and had any chance of hitting our target profit, and that was the owner. Apparently, he didn't train anybody else on profit and margin and markup and all that, but that's all right. I realized this is when we needed to dig in and we needed to build the first feature, which was the budget builder. It told all those guys, put away your calculators, no more of this, back of the envelope type crap. Your job now is to figure out every single cost that needs to go into that job. Your labor, your materials, your equipment, your permits, whatever it may be, I want to see a list of every single detail. And then we will automatically calculate the price. This was a huge transformation for us. We went from just having broken handoffs and chaos and project managers having no idea how that salesperson came up with the job or much less what they sold them. We were able to now have a very smooth transition. We had great communication with the client because now the sales guys were forced to focus on documenting what needed to go into that job. We needed a clearly defined scope of work. So they created it. We had the back and forth discussion with the clients. We knew what we needed to do for this job. And when we got it sold, they could hand that off to the project manager. Project manager now knew what needed to happen. We were also now able to start using change orders. Before, we had no idea what was sold and what was included or not included in the job. So being able to have this new process in place and having this tool and this focus on documentation, it was huge for us. It also helped us to make sure we were accurately pricing our jobs and at least gave us a shot at hitting a 30% profit margin. So this is one of the first and biggest transformations that we had. We could now more effectively manage the estimating and the sales process by having all of these tools in place. So I realized at this point, now I needed to turn to the operations, the execution. How are we getting the work done? Started doing follow-alongs, ride-alongs with the project managers. Shadowed them, tried to understand what they were doing. Undercover boss, have you ever heard of that? Straight up. I was out there on the job sites trying to understand why are some crews so much better at hitting their goals than others. This one job, though, I'll never forget this. I showed up at 8 a.m. on the job site. The crew doesn't show up until 9. Should have been there at 7. So apparently they had to go to Home Depot to get the materials. They went shopping. All right, fine, I'll take that one. I'll own that one. That was on me. I should have had the materials on the job site ready to go. Fine. Well, around 11 o'clock, they realized they need some more materials. Y'all all had that? But instead of calling the office or calling the project manager or sending just one guy, all 3 of them decide they need to go back to Home Depot. Okay, now I'm really starting to wonder. Customers watching this the whole time too. So they get back about lunchtime. So, of course, got to take another hour break. Okay, so now we're just going to sit on the job site and eat. Okay. 2:30. They go back to Home Depot a 3rd time. What? This is nuts. I get a phone call from the customer at this point. Eric, what the hell is going on? The guys just keep leaving. They have literally accomplished nothing. I am so sorry. I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I can assure you that this will not happen again. We will get your project done on time. You better get it done on time. We're not paying $1 more. Yes, sir, this will be done on time. I assure you that we will get it done. He had no idea that I was actually sitting there in my truck watching and saw all of this happening. It was nuts. I don't know if they were like inventorying Home Depot or if they were just like, walking around. It made no sense why they would all need to go and spend all that time. But this is when I realized we were not aligned in how we were selling these jobs and how we were running them. We were selling the job with a fixed price, but we were managing it with a variable cost. We were paying our guys time and material. We paid them by the day. They were incentivized to drag this on. Why would they want to go work harder and go to the next job when they could just drag this on? Let's tack on in a few more days. We don't need to get it done on time. They'll just send us back out and we'll get paid more. There was no way we were going to hit our target profit having a variable cost like that. Can you all relate to that? So this is when we transitioned from time and material work to guaranteed amounts. This is when we implemented the bid request system. So instead of them getting to just show up and go at whatever pace they felt like going at that day, we were now able to tell them they needed to bid on every job. They needed to tell us how long it was going to take and how much they were going to charge. So if they say it's going to take 5 days and it's going to cost $10,000, great. We took that $10,000, we put it into our budget, added our margin, sold the job. One click, convert that bid request to a work order, and we're off to the races. We have a very clear handoff. They know exactly what needs to be done. And you know what? If they get that job done sooner, if they can complete it in 3 days, awesome. You're still getting paid the same amount, but you get to move on to the next job. Now, if that job takes you 7 days, that's on you. And you're still getting paid the same amount, barring any, change order or unforeseen circumstances where we need to, use a change order here, then obviously we would extend it. But having this was such a transformation for us as well. The funny thing is not only did we increase the accuracy of our jobs and how we were, pricing them, but miraculously the speed and the quality of the job went up too. I couldn't believe it. They went from juniors to seniors overnight. They literally were now incentivized to get the job done right the first time. They didn't want to be sent back out because they weren't going to get paid anymore. It's funny how that works. So again, being able to have this process in place, we were now able to sell our jobs more accurately. They were running so much more smoothly. We had clearly systems and processes that were helping us to scale without sacrificing quality. They increased our profits. So the last thing I needed to do was turn my attention to the back office. Yeah, that was interesting. Maybe I should have started there, actually. The accounts receivable, accounts payable, it was just total chaos. I had no idea what was going on. I couldn't make heads from tails. I mean, how many of y'all have felt like that? Felt like, wait, I thought I already paid you. Or wait, I paid you for this job but not that job. We were literally double paying, overpaying. We were making payments on jobs that didn't even have any cost yet. It made no sense. We were so unorganized that we didn't know how to scale this. So we implemented a process. And that process was that every single bill that was going to come in from every single vendor was going to have a PO or a work order on it. If you did not have the PO or the work order number on that bill, it was just flat out rejected. No ifs, ands, buts about it. Didn't care, automatic rejection. Obviously, that frustrated a few people. They didn't make that mistake again. And we also said that, hey, look, if this bill comes in, and if it matches exactly what that purchase order, that work order was, and it was under a certain threshold, great, automatically pay it. Now, if it was over a threshold, or if it didn't match, or there was any sort of question about it, it went to approval from the project manager before it got paid. Implementing this process right here, this helped us find all of those bleeders. It felt like a death by 1,000 cuts, just bleeding out everywhere, and we have no idea where. We were just hemorrhaging money. I mean, how many of y'all have felt like that? We were able to save a tremendous amount of money and time by implementing this process. The bills came in more accurately, came in with more detail, they came in with the PO numbers. The office could immediately go and look up what we said we were going to pay them. Did it match? It was such a better handoff. It was such a better process. Now, when I turn to the invoicing, the accounts receivable, I think this was probably the craziest part of this whole thing. When I walked into this company, they had over $800,000 in accounts receivable. How many of y'all let your accounts receivable just hang out? Just run wild. We'll see what happens. I'm sure the customer's going to pay us. They want to pay us on time. This blew my mind. Nearly $1 million we had already earned. How could this even happen? I'll tell you how it happened. Field guy, project manager tells the office, hey, go send the invoice to this customer. So she did it. But she was so overwhelmed and overworked and unorganized. The office was just, again, it was in chaos, that she assumed the project manager was in constant communication with the client and was going to, make sure we got paid. There was no way he was going to know if we got paid or not. He wasn't in the QuickBooks. Last thing you want is a bunch of cooks in your QuickBooks kitchen. So there was just total disconnect here. You guys all collect your AR immediately on time? I hope so. This is when I realized that we needed to focus on integrating the system with QuickBooks. We built the first integration at this point because the project managers needed a way to initiate getting the invoice over. We no longer had, random things on invoices that, just, again, customers like, what in the world is this? Like, the feedback loop's just disconnected here. We now exactly knew what was going in on that invoice, and it got sent. And then when the payment got received, now we kept both of them in sync. This is why when you log into JobTread, front and center is your open invoices. This is single-handedly one of the most important jobs that you can do, is to make sure that you are collecting your hard-earned money. Don't risk it all. If you don't do that, you could be working, it could be all for nothing. You need to get paid. You need to get paid up front and along the way. Don't just let these things go by the wayside. Like, this is so important. This is how you build a scalable business. You need that cash. You can't pull cash from another job just to pay this job's bills. You need to collect up front and along the way. At the end of the day, I learned countless lessons from running this business. This was such a great opportunity for me to be able to partner with this company and to get in there and to really understand I have been in your shoes. I understand the challenges of building a construction business. We grew that company in 2018 from $5 to $8 million in sales. And we increased their gross profit by 43%. 43%! What would you do with 43%? What would you do with that extra profit? You could invest in your team. You could pay your guys more. You could hire more people. You could upgrade your equipment, your tools. You could get a bit bigger office, a warehouse, a shed, whatever it is. There's so much that you can do with additional profits. You can put more money in your pocket. Whatever it is, you owe it to yourself to build a successful and profitable business. Turns out when you build the right team and you implement the right systems, the right tools, the right processes, you can hit your goals. You can build a successful business. This is not rocket science. The fundamentals of managing a business have not changed, but you've got to take the right steps to be able to do it. It was after that year when I realized that this is too good to leave sitting here with that one company. I knew that I had left them in a much better place than where I found them. I had gotten them back on track. They were going. When I first started, they were running 10 to 15 concurrent jobs. When I left them 1 year later, they could run 70 to 80 concurrent jobs at one time. And I couldn't be any more proud to share that for the first time ever last year, they hit $20 million in sales. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. And it was just to see what these guys have been able to accomplish. So for me, back to the drawing board. I knew that in order to build JobTread, I needed to recruit an all-star team. I needed a phenomenal developer, designer, and CFO. Luckily, I knew just who those three people were. They had worked with me at my last company. Casey Foster is the most amazing, talented developer I have ever worked with in my entire life. And his natural desire to be an entrepreneur made him the perfect partner. Casey is the reason that this app is so phenomenal, and that it has been built so quickly, and that it just works. Obviously, nothing's perfect, but whenever things come up, he is immediately on it, and he has done an incredible job building one of the most amazing applications I've ever seen built. Scott Williamson. This is the most amazing designer and the hardest worker I have ever worked with. Scott is the reason that we have always looked so good and so much bigger than we actually are. It's because of Scott and his dedication to this. And he has done an incredible job leading everything design. And I couldn't think of anybody better to manage our finances than my dad, Don Fortenberry. My dad is the reason that I'm an entrepreneur. He has been my mentor, my guide, the person that I turn to for everything my whole life. This is our second company to work on together. And I couldn't be more honored to be able to build my career right alongside his. I believe that it's our relationship that truly instills the family culture that we have at JobTread. It's how people truly understand that we are in this for the long haul. There's nowhere else I would rather be than right here working alongside my father and the rest of the JobTread family. I'd still be at my last company if they wouldn't have fired us. And since then, we have built an incredible team. We have 28 employees, servicing over 2,300 customers, who have run over 200,000 jobs worth nearly $3 billion. You guys have been busy. And this team is very, very passionate. We all share the same thing, and that's the desire to help you all. We're on a mission to help construction companies build and scale your businesses. We want to help you become more successful and be able to have an extremely successful and profitable business. Our mission is to be the standard for construction management. We could not be any more passionate about doing this. Certainly doesn't hurt that we're very competitive people too. The way we're going to be able to set this standard, though, is by getting JobTread into tens of thousands and eventually hundreds of thousands of construction companies' hands. We are excited to work with all of you and with our partners to build JobTread and to make JobTread the absolute best product that it can be and the best company that we can be for you all. We get to build the future together. I want to implore you over the next 3 days to really soak this all in. Life is too short to not do what you're passionate about. Love what you're doing. You need to be working with people that you truly care about and creating the change in the world around you. I want you to take the time to learn over the next 3 days everything that you possibly can. Network with all of your peers. Learn from our partners and from our team. And when you get home, be prepared to take some time to just reflect and to digest. You may feel overwhelmed. You likely will feel overwhelmed. But that's okay. Take the time to come up with a plan on how you're going to implement the things that you've learned here today. We believe that we're still at the early stages of JobTread. A rising tide lifts all boats, and we can create massive waves together. We can help you build a better business, and you can help us build the best product to help you manage and scale your business. We get to build this future together. And I think that's the most exciting part of this all, is that working with each and every one of you, we love hearing your feedback. We love hearing your success stories. We love being able to do what we do because we know that it's impacting all of you and your teams. And that is our goal. We are all in this together. So make the most of this phenomenal opportunity. Welcome to JobTread Connect. What starts here changes the world. So let's go change the world. Thank you.